Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us here on Times Now. This is the newspaper show and I'm Hina Gambhir. Let's get started and tell you what's making headlines as far as the Times of India this morning is concerned. And today the big story the Times of India is leading with is what has happened in the Galwan Valley. 20 soldiers die in worst China clash in 53 years. That's the big story, and this has given you a comprehensive analysis of all possible angles. 43 Chinese casualties reported in pitched night fight with rods and stones in Ladakh. That's another update. First clash involving fatalities since 1975, and this map also tells you as to what the line of actual control really is and the kind of incursions that have been happening by the Chinese side. And there you can see the dotted line here. That is the line of actual control, and this is the Galwan Valley where this happened. Triggered by Chinese troops who came back to erect a temporary post on Indian side and were challenged by Indian troops. Brawl broke out in the evening, went on till midnight. Many men from both sides fell into a rivulet. Colonel Babu, Havildar K. Palani and Sepoy Kundan Kumar Ojha died on the spot. Others, meanwhile, succumbed later to injuries. Violent face-off result of attempt by Chinese to unilaterally change the status quo in the region. This is what MEA has said. Senior commanders had productive meetings on June 6th and agreed on process for such de-escalation. Ground commanders had series of meetings thereafter, and it has all the details of how it was happening minute by minute. Then in 1967, a total of 80 Indian soldiers and about 400 Chinese soldiers were killed in action at Nathula in September 1967. That was the bloodiest clashes that we had seen since the 1962 war. Then after that came 1975. 4 Assam Rifle Jawans were killed when their patrol was ambushed by Chinese soldiers in Arunachal Pradesh on 20th of October 1975. And since then, we have seen this deadliest clash that has happened with China, in which 20 Indian soldiers lost their lives. India says PLA violated pullback commitment. We will defend borders. MEA has also issued a statement saying that our activities are always within our side of the line of actual control. We expect the same of the Chinese as well. Both sides suffered casualties that could have been avoided and had the agreement been scrupulously followed by the Chinese. That's the big update. Now let's tell you about 3 soldiers, including one colonel who lost their lives because of this deadly clash, and then there were others as well who got seriously injured and succumbed later. Colonel Babu's father says, "It's a privilege to die for nation. I'm proud of my son." Colonel Santosh Babu's father was visibly shaken but still refused to give up his stoic demeanor when he heard the news of his son's death on Tuesday. He said that, and I quote, "I was always aware one day I could hear what I heard today, and I was mentally prepared for it. Everyone dies, but it is a privilege to die for the country, and I'm proud of my son." In fact, there's another very important update that Times of India has reported about the conversation that Colonel Babu had with his father. In fact, big gulf between reality and news, Babu told dad in last call. Colonel Santosh's last words keep ringing in the father Upender's ears. "You should not ask me that," he had told his worried parents when they inquired about details about the border skirmishes that were taking place during a brief call on June 14. And I quote what he told his father: "I'm not supposed to tell you anything. We can talk when I'm back with you." He died the following night. The officer had told his parents that there was a big gulf between the reality on the ground and what they were hearing from the news channels. Everyone has to die, but dying for the country is a big thing, and we are proud of our son. This is what Colonel Babu's father told the Times of India. Then K. Palani, 40 years old, the soldier from Ramanathpuram who died in the clash with Chinese forces in Ladakh on Monday night, had skipped his birthday party and housewarming ceremony on 3rd of June to guard the country's border. On Wednesday, his mortal remains will reach the modest home which he so painstakingly built but did not live to see. And there you can see the picture of Soldier Palani, who also lost his life. There you can see in the picture, he's there with his family. Then the third soldier who also lost his life, the call came on Tuesday morning. Sepoy Rajesh Orang had been martyred in the clash with Chinese soldiers in Ladakh. His cousin Devasis, who works in Jabalpur, is devastated. Times of India spoke with him when he was on his way to Raipur to board a flight for Bengal, their home state. He was to get married this month. They were all looking forward to it. This is what Devasis told Times Now. Rajesh, 26 years old, of Bihar Regiment, was a native of Belgoria in West Bengal. And now India clearly is thinking of the possible action. What next from here on? China crosses line, will attract action. Economic diplomatic retaliation is on the cards. This is what Indrani Bagchi has reported. The Galwan clashes, the bloodiest India and China have experienced since at least 1975, shows the rising ferocity of the India-China engagement on the borders, with one of the largest losses in recent years. And Indian retaliation is assured. But on a larger scale, China lost India on Tuesday. This is what Indrani Bagchi has written. In many ways, this government, like previous ones, has been guilty of being almost indulgent of Chinese intrusions into Indian territory, which have become more insistent and violent in the past few years. The stock explanation from ministers, even the defense minister, is about differing perceptions of the line of actual control. In fact, it may be that emboldened the Chinese to take greater liberties. MEA also says that casualties could have been avoided had China followed the agreement. And as I was mentioning earlier, 3 Jawans died on the spot, 17 later succumbed to the injuries. Apart from this, there is another important update that has come in. Now, on one hand, this kind of a clash has taken place at the Galwan Valley, where India has lost 20 of its brave Jawans. Great Wall Motors has signed $1 billion MOU with Maharashtra government, and this company is a Chinese company. China's Great Wall Motors on Monday signed an MOU with the Maharashtra government to invest 3,770 crore rupees near Pune to set up an automobile plant. It is part of the 16,100 crore that will be invested in the state over the next few years. And lastly, brazen Beijing blames Indian provocation. Even though China hasn't really come out giving the exact number of casualty count following this clash, in fact, Beijing is now blaming India for the provocation in this particular incident. A defiant China blamed India for the violent line of actual control scuffle, saying Indian troops crossed the border twice illegally and launched provocative attacks. And a military spokesperson said there were casualties without mentioning any number or the nature of injuries suffered. So this is what we've heard from the Chinese side so far, also on the front page. Then a couple of more stories that Times of India has reported related to this clash that happened. JP Nadda, BJP president, has said India gave a befitting reply to China, referring to clashes among Indian and Chinese troops in Galwan Valley. BJP President JP Nadda on Tuesday said Indian forces gave a befitting reply and were ready to take on any adversary. Left parties, meanwhile, have said that must hold high-level talks immediately. There's a reaction from the Congress party as well. Congress has questioned PM silence, saying government must tell the nation about the response to this face-off. And before we move on to the other stories, this is an article written by Amar S. Bedi, former DG Defense Intelligence Agency. This writer headed the military negotiation team during the 2014 face-off that happened with China. And what he has written is also very significant today. Edgy times on icy heights, a long and hot summer of confrontation looms ahead along the line of actual control. This is what Amar S. Bedi is now warning. It has been more than a month since the two largest armies in South Asia have been locked in a battle of nerves on the icy heights of Ladakh at the line of actual control. However, while some green shoots of an agreement are seeing the light of the day after Corps Commander talks, the situation can well turn violent and escalate, as happened in Galwan Valley on Monday night, when troops troops are in close contact and tempers run high on both sides due to prolonged deployment. Local actions to achieve a position of advantage by either side have the potential to lead to tragic consequences. So what should India be doing at this point in time? His suggestion is that it would be wise not to raise our hopes too high and be excited about the Indian stare having made the dragon recoil. If lessons are to be drawn from earlier experience of 2013 and 14 face-offs, it would be prudent to expect a long summer of hard bargaining and more tensions in case the developments do not follow the trajectory as per either party's expectation. He also says while the strategy had been subtle earlier, the fallout of COVID pandemic and a host of other geostrategic issues have forced the Chinese to now be brazen in their approach. Lastly, while recourse to evicting the Chinese from areas already occupied may be cost prohibitive, options exist in areas where Indian troops enjoy the positional advantage to do a quid pro quo. At some stage, it may become the only option in case talks do not produce the desired outcome. So this is a view coming from Amar S. Bedi. And we also want to quickly take a look at some of the other stories which are making headlines on the front page of the Times of India before we move on to the Navbharat Times. Prime Minister Modi, while speaking to the chief ministers yesterday, said green shoots of economy visible, unlocking to continue. Top Hizbul man, 2 other terrorists killed in Jammu and Kashmir. Relief to IL&FS ex-auditors. India demarche confirms torture, issuing a strong demarche to the Pakistan chargé d'affaires for the second successive day. India on Tuesday officially confirmed 2 Indian High Commission officials had been abducted, tortured and forced to accept fictitious charges by Pakistani agencies. Then now Sushant's sister-in-law also has passed away. 2 days after Sushant Singh Rajput's body was found in his Mumbai flat, his family received another jolt when his 48-year-old sister-in-law, cancer patient, died on Monday. Want relief in case? Give PPEs to hospitals. This is what Delhi High Court has told the builder. Low-cost drug reduces death. This is what a UK trial has shown. Joblessness falls rapidly in June according to CMI's latest data. There has been a massive drop in advance tax mop-up as well. And Delhi's COVID toll has surged by 437. City now is number 2 with 1,837 deaths. Mortality rate jumps to 3.4%. That's about India's COVID count. And lastly, deepest solar eclipse in India will happen on Sunday, which is 21st of June, the longest day. Moving on, and let's get you the latest now from the Navbharat Times. और यहाँ पर भी जो पहली खबर है वो जो गलवान वैली में हुआ है उससे जुड़ी हुई है। चीन से बस 45 बरस बाद खूनी झड़प, कर्नल समेत 20 शहीद, पड़ोसी देश के भी कई सैनिक ढेर हो गए। ये नवभारत टाइम्स की पहली हेडलाइन है। 600 से 700 सैनिक भिड़े, कई के गहरे नाले में गिरने की भी रिपोर्ट आई है। पत्थरों और रॉड से हमला बोला गया। सुबह चीन से बात करने गए थे शहीद कर्नल। ये भी यहाँ पर अपडेट दिया हुआ है। भारत ने कहा झड़प के लिए चीन जिम्मेदार है। चीन ने कहा LAC पार करके भारत की तरफ से हुई थी शुरुआत। तो यहाँ पर एक दोनों की तरफ से जो स्टेटमेंट्स आए हैं उनको भी लिखा गया है। 5 मई की रात से ही सुलग गई थी इस आग की चिंगारी। और इसके अलावा जो और खबरें हैं उसमें है कि मुख्यमंत्रियों संग मीटिंग के बाद प्रधानमंत्री का संदेश, अब एहतियात के साथ आगे बढ़ेंगे। दिल्ली में एक बार फिर से 10,000 के पार केस जो हैं, देश में 10,000 के पार केस चले गए हैं। कोरोना मुक्त हुए न्यूजीलैंड में भी मरीज फिर से आने शुरू हो गए हैं, तो यहाँ पर भी चिंता की बात है। और इस्लामाबाद में भारतीयों को डंडों से पीटा, ऐसा रिपोर्ट आई है। और दिल्ली में 5 स्टार होटल ताज मानसिंह सूर्या में रखे जाएंगे हल्के लक्षणों वाले मरीज। ये भी एक इंपॉर्टेंट खबर है। राजधानी में 24 घंटों में सबसे ज्यादा 93 मौतें हुई हैं। 93 पीपल हैव लॉस्ट देयर लाइव्स इन जस्ट वन डे इन द नेशनल कैपिटल। ये पूरी खबरें हैं। इसके अलावा शोपियां में 3 आतंकी ढेर लौटने का था मौका। अंतर्राष्ट्रीय उड़ानों पर फैसला जुलाई में। भारत में अंतर्राष्ट्रीय उड़ानों पर फैसला जुलाई में हो सकता है। सिविल एविएशन मिनिस्टर हरदीप सिंह पुरी ने मंगलवार को कहा कि अगर कोरोना का फैलाव तय अनुमानों के मुताबिक रहा तो राज्य सरकारों के साथ में इस बारे में फैसला लिया जा सकता है। और लास्टली, सोनिया का प्रधानमंत्री मोदी को खत, तेल सस्ता करो, क्योंकि 10 दिन में 10 हाइक हमने देखे हैं पेट्रोल और डीजल पे। तो अब कांग्रेस पार्टी चाहती है कि प्रधानमंत्री इसमें एक्शन ले। Let's now move on and get you the latest from the Economic Times as well. And here also the big focus that the Economic Times has today is what happened in the Galwan Valley. Officer among 20 Indian troops killed in Ladakh confrontation. 45-year peace along China border has been shattered. Worst clash in decades took place on Monday night. Some Indian soldiers are still missing. This is another update that we've got. We've got the report of 20 as of now, but the Economic Times is reporting that some Indian soldiers are still missing. Chinese troops also said to have suffered casualties. Soldiers from People's Liberation Army attacked Indians with spiked sticks and stones. This is what Manu Babi has reported on the front page. Apart from this, is this Hindi-Chini bye-bye on trade front? Maybe not. No immediate impact likely on the business relations of both the countries is what government officials have indicated. India's border tensions with China may not have an immediate impact on business and trade relations. Multiple government officials have said there's currently no thought of extending the confrontation to the economic realm. At the same time, amid growing hostility, India may cut telecom and IT reliance on China. So that is an update that Anandita Mankotia has reported. Focus also on Huawei ZTE for 5G play in view of security concerns. The skirmishes on the China border and the global backlash against the neighboring country over the COVID-19 outbreak may lead to a rethink of Indian strategy on information communication technology, ICT, especially from the security point of view with 5G at the core. This is what top officials have suggested. Then China trying to alter status quo broke June 6 consensus. This has been India's statement. New Delhi favors talks but asserts territorial integrity. China tries to put the blame on India. This is what Dipanjan Roy Chaudhary has reported. India blamed China on Tuesday for trying to unilaterally alter the status quo on the line of actual control at Galwan and for departing from the consensus reached at the senior commanders meeting on 6th of June. So that is about the top focus that the Economic Times has this morning. Prime Minister Modi has told Chief Minister step up economic activity but stick to COVID safety as well. Then Taj Mansingh to be converted into COVID treatment facility in the national capital. IT breather for Deepak Kochar during COVID. Chanda Kochar's husband, some others spared for coercive action at least for the moment. This is what Rashmi Rajput has reported. Covered under medical insurance umbrella, you may still get wet. Bulk of COVID cost on overhead consumables not covered by insurance. So have to watch out for your insurance. And lastly, lowering mortality in Mumbai and Delhi. It's an analysis of how Delhi and Mumbai's corona cases have been in the last couple of days. In the fight against COVID-19, India has seen its medical resources stretched and tested over the past 3 months. While rising active cases pose a challenge, experts said bringing the mortality rate under control is crucial. Official data now shows that asymptomatic or mildly symptomatic patients who do not need hospitalization are recovering on their own. Mumbai and Delhi, the cities most affected by the virus, urgently need to control the rising number of deaths. So they need to focus on the fatality rate due to COVID-19. So that's about the big headlines on all three papers. Let's be more city specific and get you the latest as far as the Delhi edition of Times of India is concerned. My colleague Sherin is joining us on the broadcast. So more on this. Sherin, good morning. On the front page, the Delhi edition has reported that Taj Mansingh to become COVID facility. 5 more hotels have been named.
Good morning, Hina. That is right, because remember, keeping with the promise that was made by the Delhi government that by June 20th, they will in fact ramp up the bed capacity in the national capital to 20,000. So keeping with those words, now we are seeing that there are a number of hotels that has been in fact converted into COVID facilities. They are in fact attached to these private hospitals which are in fact which have in fact COVID ward. One such hotel is of course Taj Mansingh, that is in fact will be attached for Sir Gangaram Hospital. So the mild symptom patients will be kept in these hotels, and the patients with the severe condition of course will be given the hospital beds. There will be ICU and ventilator in the hospital, but the people with mild symptoms in fact will be accommodated in these hotels. Now, not just Taj Mansingh, but also there are 4 other hotels that has in fact been notified in North Delhi, and accordingly they are making the arrangements to ensure ensure that people who are infected with the COVID-19 are in fact given proper accommodation. We have already seen a number of them have been complaining how the hospitals are not letting them in. So this could actually be helpful for a number of patients who have been running pillar to post, Hina.
All right. Thank you very much, Sharon, for the moment, for joining us with all of those details. Let's now move on and get our viewers the latest as far as the Bengaluru edition of the Times of India this morning is concerned. 5 deaths, 47 new cases have been reported in Bengaluru in just a single day. Apart from this, to free up hospital beds, government plans care centres to treat mild cases. Government of Karnataka has got plans to convert buildings such as community halls, hotels into facilities to treat pre-symptomatic patients of COVID-19. Deepak Bopanna, my colleague, is joining us on the broadcast for more on this. Deepak, good morning. It's also being reported that Karnataka is likely to test 40,000 random samples. New strategy, it seems.
Yes, because clearly the number of testing is dropped, so they have to now facilitate more testing. Before we used to test about 13,000 to 40,000 per day, which is now dropped to 6,000 to 7,000 per day. So you have a capacity to test actually about 14,000. Then you can very much test, randomly people who are out there doing their work on a daily basis. Be it, the frontline COVID warriors, be it people who are going to their offices, be it cab drivers, auto drivers, vendors on the streets, restaurants. The workers there, because they are meeting people on a consistent basis, coming in touch with a lot of people. So there could be fears of community spread as well. And that is what they can really look at combating if they go ahead with the random testing. So it's the need of the hour. We really have to wait and watch whether it will be initiated as soon as possible or whether there will be other detours that will be taken.
All right. Thank you very much, Deepak, for the moment, for joining us with all of those details. Let's now move on and get you the latest as far as the Kolkata edition of the Times of India this morning is concerned. And here, the government has urged private hospitals to set aside 50 COVID beds each, more discharged than cases in the state. Tamal Saha, my colleague, is now joining us on the broadcast. Tamal, good morning. The Times of India has reported that Bengal muted Mamata has decided to skip Modi's virtual meeting with the chief ministers.
Well, that's right, Hina. In fact, the last time the meeting happened in the month of May, the Chief Minister of State of West Bengal was part of the meeting, and she did raise her opposition over a whole host of issues. She had demanded money for migrant workers from the central government and, of course, a special package for the unorganized sector. To an extent, accused the central government of trying to bulldoze the federal structure. And now, Trinamool Congress is of the opinion, because Mamata Banerjee had been very vocal in the interest of the people, she is getting sidelined, or the central government is trying to silence her. What you picked up from our sources that even though the state representative in form of the state chief secretary or any other bureaucrat would be attending the meeting that happens today, but the chief minister herself might not attend the meeting, principally because she is miffed with the fact that Bengal will not get a chance to speak in this chief minister's conference, even though the situation in West Bengal could be unmanageable but yet critical, because West Bengal has one of the worst case fatality rates in the country, and it has recorded already more than 11,000 positive cases and deaths of more than 490. So yes, the state government expected that West Bengal will be given a chance to speak, but now in the second and final communication that the state has received, because Bengal's name doesn't appear, she possibly will not be part of this conference as a mute spectator. In the month of April, in a similar meeting, initially she had refused to be part of the meeting, but later on she had attended, calling it a constitutional obligation. But today all eyes will be on the meeting, whether she finally attends or not. So far, we are learning she might not.
All right, Tamal, appreciate you joining us with all of those details. We're now moving on to the Mumbai edition of the Times of India, and the big story is state left red-faced after adding 1,328 missing deaths, 862 from Mumbai alone. Maharashtra now shares 46% of the national toll. In a major embarrassment for the Uddhav Thackeray-led government, as many as 1,328 deaths had not been added to the state's COVID-19 toll so far. A data reconciliation exercise by State Public Health Department has found of these unaccounted for deaths, 862 were just from Mumbai. And then, apart from this, BMC withdraws order, will not use redevelopment buildings for quarantine. That's another news. A quick look at the Chennai edition of the Times of India as well. As deaths continue to rise, experts question fall in Tamil Nadu's case count. That's the update. More COVID-19 deaths missing from Tamil Nadu Health Department's bulletins. So here also the focus is on lack of transparency as far as data that is being given by the state government. With this, it's a wrap. Thank you very much for staying with us here on the Newspaper Show.